Steve, you've got to a lot of people would be a very challenging and interesting project coming up.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm seeing it as a bit of adventure. I've been to South Africa once with APA on a study tour in 1994, and I really enjoyed what I saw. I actually brought some of the technology back and put it into Queensland specifications. So I'm really seeing it as quite an adventure. It's going to use, the project will use all of my skills, my entire career skills. So I see that as a useful way to use my experience, really.
Yeah. And what's your project actually going to involve?
Okay, the state of spray sealing in Ethiopia right now is dire, right? There's very little. The major highways have been built by the Americans and the Europeans and the Chinese with thick asphalt, so low maintenance roads on the highways. Once you turn off the highways, there's nothing. There's really just dirt roads or gravel roads. The Ethiopians have realised they need lots of, thousands of kilometres of access roads to villages and towns to improve access. It stems from a British scheme that started up some years ago called AFCAP, which is the African Community Access Program. And basically what the UN says is that everyone is entitled to food, education and medical supplies. To do that, you need roads. That's what it boils down to. Particularly during the short, sharp, wet season they have in Ethiopia from May to September, when they just have downpour storms. And basically the trucks bog and nothing moves. The thing is too, Ethiopia can actually feed itself if it can move the food around. So that's part of this project as well.
Is it too simplistic to say that we're providing them with transport infrastructure to suit their financial capacity?
That's fairly true. I mean, Ethiopia is getting lots of foreign aid at the moment, as many countries are in Africa. But the fact is they need about 135,000 kilometres of access roads yesterday. And the quickest way to do that is with spray seals, right? It's just too expensive to do it in asphalt. In the last 10 or so years too, they've been building up the capacity in testing expertise. They're also encouraging local communities now to take an interest in their roads and even become the local contractors to maintain their roads. So probably with those few improvements, they can now sustain sprayed seals as they're surfacing on their roads. It's a way of getting maximum access for most of the population at a reasonable cost. That's really what it's all about.
So does this project actually provide the roads for them, or does it teach them how to produce the roads themselves? My
role is to teach them to do it themselves. I'll have a young Ethiopian graduate engineer with me. Partly as my interpreter, but also I will mentor the young engineer. And really after a year, my job is to leave, and they'll be able to carry on themselves. SMEC has done this in Ghana, in West Africa before, so there's a precedent for this. It has been done successfully before. So. And
what's the Ethiopians' attitude to it? Are they enthusiastic about the possibility of opening up their regions?
Absolutely, absolutely. They, like I said before, they need accesses to the new dams that are being built, right, to get materials. There's two massive dams being built, one on the Blue Nile and one on the Oromo River at the moment, and that will provide hydropower, because 81% of the population, so 81% of 85 million people, have no electricity at the moment. And the Ethiopian government now is trying to provide that. I've read just recently too, there are some modern factories being built in Addis Ababa now, but there's not enough electricity to drive them. So these hydro schemes are being built to power industry. But to get the materials to the dams and the workers to the dams, you need roads. So that's a big issue, because Ethiopia is a landlocked country, right? They've got to export and import through Djibouti, the port of Djibouti, or the Sudanese ports on the Red Sea. So import-export is fairly expensive. Importing is really expensive for them. So whatever they can do locally really improves their economy and improves their life. To move medical services around as well, you need roads. Ethiopia has a fairly developed airline. Ethiopian Airlines are huge, and they have good regional airlines, but that's expensive, and the local people can't afford it. So they need to be able to access via roads. But certainly, to answer your question, yeah, my role is to teach them to do it themselves.
And how did you get the position?
Interesting. First of all, a delegation came from Ethiopia to Australia in November last year, so November 2012. The Minister for Roads, or for Transport, the Director General of the Ethiopian Roads Authority, and the Director of Research. 3 of them came to Australia and visited Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland, I understand. I wasn't involved at that stage, but they did say, we need someone to come and teach us to do this. The representatives from APA made the point that, look, it takes a year at least to teach people to do this well. So the Ethiopians said, well, send us someone. A couple of other people volunteered first, but subsequently pulled out. I was then approached by Peter Evans, Deputy Chief Engineer for Research and Pavements here in Queensland, and he said, how would you like to go to Ethiopia? Now, I still didn't have a permanent role at that stage. My wife was talking about giving up teaching. She always wanted to live overseas. She's never been to Africa. It all just came together. So I became the recommended person. Right? I was nominated by APA, and I'm very happy about it.
Mm. Well, okay. It'll certainly be a change of lifestyle for you.
It will, but I've travelled a lot around. Right, I've been to Cambodia and I've been to other countries, Thailand. I've been to South Africa, and I've lived and worked in Western Queensland too, where resources were short and small towns and that sort of thing. So it won't be a total shock. It's still going to be confronting, I'm sure. But my wife and I have travelled a lot around the world, and I think we'll adapt, to be honest.
So when's the appointment start?
Good question. It's not definite yet, but probably mid to late October. So hopefully within a month we'll be on our way. We've already started preparing. We've had jabs in both arms, and we've now got a yellow fever book and all of those sort of things. So we've got ourselves pretty much prepared. Mm.
And is your wife going to do any teaching over there, or look at doing any? Because
there's such a big population there, she won't initially get a work permit, but she'll look at volunteering initially, and if there is paid work, she will pick it up. But where I think we'll be living, there is an international school, so she's a teacher with a lot of experience, so I'm sure she'll find a role there of some sort. That's in between travelling to places like Paris and London, and because it's only 7 hours flying from Addis to Paris, as my wife keeps telling me, and only 1 hour time difference too, so no jet lag either.
All in all, that could be dangerous.
Well, we're at our stage of life where we're enjoying ourselves anyway, so I'm not too worried about that.